Hello, everyone. This is the Movie Night Society once again. Uh, Last month we did the Spider-Man films, uh, the Sam Raimi films, and the Amazing Spider-Man films. But it's October now, so we thought we'd do something horror related. Uh, our original plan was going to be doing the VHS films because there's going to be a fifth one coming out soon. So we thought like, oh, there's 5 weeks for October. We thought of doing that, but we couldn't find the first three on streaming. Right? You had to like rent it, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what you
and
told
then
me.
yeah, and then the Paranormal Activity series was our second option, and then we figured out they're not on Paramount Plus. I think 2 through 4 aren't on there. Or 6. 6 wasn't on there either. It was just the marked ones and Next of Kin.
That's weird.
Yeah, very
Trust those
strange.
ones.
Yeah, but yeah. So we decided. I guess since those two were found footage, thought it'd be good to do some found footage movies. We're just going to be doing ones that I picked. So this week we're doing Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, and then next week I think is Deadstream. These are all on Shudder, by the way. Deadstream is like I think it's coming out tonight on Shudder, but I've been hearing good things about it from film festivals and stuff. And then the week after that is what was it? Shoot, I forgot. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I have to look it up real quick. I think it was. Oh, jeez.
You just give me like a long list of stuff, so I don't remember.
Yeah, and then I just picked.
everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Week 3 is Hell House LLC, and then week 4 is VHS 99, the new VHS film, and then the 5th week is WNUF Halloween special. So, yeah, so it's like just a bunch of random found footage movies and stuff that I thought would be fun to talk about, and most of them are set around Halloween. I think even in Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, they're like, oh, it's like almost November, and they say they're going to the asylum on October 26th. Anyway, I thought I'd just lay out the schedule just because why not? And then hopefully Dustin will be joining us for most of them. He wasn't able to join this week, but hopefully next week. And yeah, without all that out of the way, we watched Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. We're going to spoil pretty much everything about it, I think, because I don't think there's any way to talk about it without
Just kind of going
everything
through it beat by beat is probably what
Yeah.
we're going to be doing.
Yeah. So this one I've seen before. I'm curious what you thought about it, just right off the bat.
Initial impressions.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, there were plenty of parts I think before like the last half hour I was a little bored watching it. But I was optimistic that it would have like at least I was hoping it'd have a good like last third, like when things really started going. And I think it did. I think when things really start happening, they happen in a big way, and it does like a lot of really neat things. I also thought it had a lot of cool ideas, like the drone, the GoPro seeing the face, and then what they're seeing. So I was like, oh, these are a lot of neat ideas. I hope that movie can kind of pay them off in some cool ways, and I think in some ways it does, in some ways it doesn't. Some things I would like to see a little bit more. Some things, like I like the idea for the GoPro with like seeing their faces, when scary stuff are happening. But a lot of times I laughed because of the facial expressions that they were making.
Yeah, because it's at that like kind of fisheye like.
I don't know if that was the intention to laugh during some of that, but it just kind of.
No, I don't think so. I
don't think so either. But
it could make logistical sense.
Yeah. So, but I kind of did laugh at parts like that where it's like I probably shouldn't be laughing, but their faces are just funny when they're screaming and closing up on that and stuff. But like, I still think it's a really good idea. Like, okay, it's a scary movie. You want to see like their reactions to things, so like just having a shot of their faces is a good idea. So like
Yeah, and it's nice that
overall,
it's able to like cut between the different
yeah,
angles
I
and stuff.
liked yeah, because I like in found footage when you can kind of cut between different angles and like different people and see what's going on. Um, at the same time, but like kind of different places. Like, okay, this is going on this, and then we'll go back a little bit and show what's going on here. I like when they do that type of thing. Um, so yeah, like a lot of cool ideas. Obviously, it has a little bit of a slow startup or slow setup. You know, a lot of found footage horror movies kind of have a slow setup. You need it.
Yeah.
You need it. You really need it. But I thought it's not like I thought it was bad. It's just like some parts. It's like I'm just kind of, especially like when they finally get in to the abandoned asylum. It's like I would have liked for things to kind of like maybe got a little bit faster. It doesn't feel like the middle kind of drags a little bit, not much, but a little bit. But like I said, then that like last third when things really start happening, like that's some of the best stuff. So
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I felt the runtime a lot more on the second watch. I think the first time I watched it, I was pretty like into it, uh, character wise and everything, because I was like, oh, I'm sure this is going to go somewhere pretty good, and then it did. Second time, I don't know why, but I was a little bit more like, okay, are we gonna when are we gonna get there?
yeah,
uh, but yeah, I agree. Like lots of cool ideas, lots of good like setup in the movie. Uh, yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't think it's like the most what do you want to say, like original found footage movie, because I feel like we've seen quite a few found footage movies, like the two of us.
yeah,
I think it's like a subgenre of horror we both really like when it's done well. uh
yeah. I'd say overall this movie did it well though.
yes, I think so too. I overall really do enjoy this movie, and I thought, like, man, there's some stuff in the last act that still scared me, like even though I knew it was coming.
Mm.
uh Mainly, I don't know if I showed the background face here.
Yeah, obviously
That
that
part was,
was pretty creepy.
that freaked me out. Yeah, yeah, I guess we'll go into the plot a little bit. uh
Sounds
it's
good.
basically, it reminded me a lot of Grave Encounters.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I
Yeah,
think because like the things like I think Grave Encounters and Paranormal Activity do well is it kind of lets you get to know the characters a little bit before stuff
yeah,
starts happening. And I liked how it kind of showed like there was this scene where it just showed them all having fun like at this lake with the
yeah,
bouncing they were on and just like having a good time as friends. I like that it's kind of showing us more of that and showing us like their relationships and who they are as people. That way, like when they go through this awful stuff that you know they're gonna go through, you feel sorry for them. So I thought the movie did a pretty good job about that, like with Grave Encounters and Paranormal Activity, especially like Paranormal Activity One. I thought did a good job at making you kind of like the characters and get to know them a little bit more.
yeah. I also like that in both, but well, in Grave Encounters, it's like a TV crew, one of those like ghost adventures or whatever type of shows where
Yeah,
they like investigate a haunted, uh, quote unquote haunted place. Or I guess it turns out that it is haunted, of course.
of course. Yeah,
But these shows, they obviously, you know fudge things. And I think it was interesting that this movie actually had them like setting it up.
yeah. When they did
And
that, I was
that was
actually
one thing I
kind of
didn't.
surprised.
Yeah, I was too the first time, because I was like, this is all going surprisingly fast.
Hmm.
uh I think it does kind of lessen the impact on the second watch, though. I think that's maybe why I wasn't quite as engaged, because it's like when it's fake, it feels a little bit like, okay, yeah, like let's get to the point, the real
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. That's
Um,
what I was feeling too.
so I think it's like a little bit of a double-edged sword. Like I think it's like a cool idea, that it's like, oh yeah, they faked it, and like all the girls like weren't in on it, and then yeah, and then real stuff starts happening. But yeah, it does make a second watch a little bit like, okay, yeah, well, I know it's fake. um, but yeah, I liked the performances a lot. It was a little distracting because I think I watched this movie after I had seen Squid Game, and the main guy, the guy like the captain, uh, is in Squid Game. He's like a
Oh, really?
detective.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
he's like a detective trying to figure out what's going down in the Squid Games or whatever. And
That's
it's
funny.
yeah, so good for him for getting like Squid Game. I didn't recognize the other actors. Uh, there's probably other movies that they've been in, but I don't know if I've seen them. But like, yeah, the main guy being in Squid Game was a little bit distracting, but I think he's really good in this. I liked his just total uh whatever, like megalomaniac kind of attitude. Like we got to reach 1 million views or else there's no this is all for nothing. It's like, dude, you already got like 500,000. That's like a lot, I feel. But
Yeah, and then I like. Well, we'll talk about it at the end because it kind of like it's that twist at the end. It shows like
oh yeah,
that
yeah.
that view count might have not really been all that. You know.
Yeah. Which was one thing that I definitely expected to happen, but I still thought it was fairly satisfying.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, so they all like get together. They're gonna go to I guess it's based on a real place, uh Gonjiam Asylum. And I heard that like the owner of the actual building didn't want this movie to be released because they said like it would have taken the market value down for the actual building, which I think is funny. Uh, but yeah, I guess it's a real place. I guess that article, that CNN article they show, is like a real article. Although I guess I didn't look it up, so I don't know for sure. But I think that's what inspired the movie. Uh, was that article? So kind of interesting that it's actually based on a real place where like Grave Encounters is, this made up asylum. Uh, but yeah, very, very similar to Grave Encounters of like a crew going into a haunted asylum, and yeah, it ends up actually being haunted and shit goes down. Uh, yeah, except in this one, it's for like a web live stream, uh, which I thought was a fun idea. Um, yeah, I don't know what really happens. I mean, it's a very simple plot. I mean, a lot of these found footage movies I feel like are pretty simple. Uh, yeah, they go to the asylum and they set up all their equipment and stuff. They got all the typical like stuff like the whatever it's like the EKG meter or whatever, the thing that detects sound. Uh, what was it? What is it called? Electro voice phenomenon or whatever, EVP. I think
Something
that's
like
what I was
that.
trying to think of.
Yeah, I think that's something like that.
Yeah, and yeah, they set up all these things. Uh, I'm trying to think of like really big moments in the plot. Uh, a lot of the stuff really doesn't really like go down until the last act, I feel. Uh, but were there any like major plot points like before the third act that were like important? I guess like each of the characters is like uh, a little interesting. I liked Charlotte.
Yeah.
Uh, she's like been to other places on the same like CNN list of like the 7 freakiest scariest places on Earth. So she's like been to 3 of them already, and this is her 4th one. Uh, I thought that was
I believe she said she grew up in the States too,
yeah, because
which
she
is why
speaks
like when
English a
she
lot.
speaks English, it
Yeah,
sounds fluent.
yeah. Uh, and then there's the 3 guys. There's like the captain. Were there 4? There was 4 guys. The captain, and then
And I thought there were
uh,
3 guys and 3 girls. Or were there 4?
there were 3 guys and 3 girls who go into the asylum, and then I think
okay, yeah, and then
the
the
captain
captain's,
is
yes, you're right.
overseeing everything and kind of editing the live stream as it goes on with like replays, and he's like zooming in on certain objects and stuff that they've clearly set up, which I thought was fun. Yeah, so there's the captain and then 3 other guys. I don't remember any of their names. I'm so sorry. But yeah, there's like basically 3 camera guys, and all the guys are in on the setup. All 3 of them, right? Or is it just 2 of them?
I thought it was
I
all
kind of
3
can't
of them.
remember.
I thought it
I
was
think
all the
all
guys
3.
were in on it.
I think so. It's mainly the 2 guys are like the ones talking to the captain a lot of the time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we mentioned Charlotte, and then there's 2 other ladies, and I don't really. It was like a little hard to like distinguish character a bit in this movie. I will say there's a lot of characters, and I like all the interactions between them, but there's like a few standout characters. I liked the one guy who was a little like, I don't know, what do you want to say, like he seemed like legit scared at times, like when they find the it's like a ball and there's like a wig on it and looks like someone's like emerging from the water, and he just like freaks out.
Almost makes me
he's,
think
like,
if they
trying to-
pulled a Blair Witch, and it's like, did they just have these people go into this place and film, and then like other people were just like, oh, this is gonna happen, or you're gonna go into this room, and to get like an authentic reaction.
Yeah.
I always just like wonder that now. It's like, do they take the Blair Witch approach, or because yeah, I think you're right, where like a lot of it seems like they're kind of like genuine reactions to being scared.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe that guy wasn't in on it. I think the other 2 are, because I'm trying to remember if there was a part where that guy said anything. I don't know. Him and like the woman that he's always like kind of teasing. He keeps saying like we should like send her back home.
Yeah, when he kept saying, I was like, okay, you're suspicious. Why do you keep wanting to send her back? Are you in on this?
Yeah, that doesn't really have any kind of payoff though.
No, not really. No, I don't think so.
I think that was probably just like an improv thing that they kept doing, because I mean a lot of these found footage movies improvise the dialogue, and I'm pretty sure the actors are using their names in the movie. Kind of like Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity did that, where the actors just use their first names. So yeah, what was I trying to say? So I liked that character. I think that guy had a lot more personality than the other 2 guys who weren't the captain, because they seemed a little interchangeable, I guess, to me. Like one of them comes up with the idea later on that like okay, we're gonna ask for more money from the captain if we're gonna keep doing this. That was kind of like the only way I was able to distinguish their characters. And then, yeah, I don't know. So I think characterizations may be like a little bit of a problem in the movie, because even watching it again, I was kind of like, oh yeah, what was this character like, and what was this character doing? So I think that's a little bit of a problem, but I think the main thing with this movie, and I think a lot of people like it because it is scary. I think it's scary. I don't know about you, but I think the third act is like actually has some scares that made me jump. Should we just get it?
I think I jumped once because of like the sudden, you know, the noise essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it just like a bang. That's like, oh, that got me. I think that was kind of it. There's a lot of like really unsettling, and especially certain parts of the end made me really tense.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm in. Like I can't take my eyes off the screen. I'm into it, and this is like just very tense.
Yeah, I think more than the characters themselves, I think the way the characters all meet their ends is like the most interesting thing about the characters. Um, yeah, I think the first two that go out are Charlotte and uh, it's the one girl who left with her. It's basically this scene, this scare,
Mm.
because she gets possessed, and I have to say that the scares in this movie, even though some of them were a little bit, jump scare y and like had like loud noises and stuff, I think this scare was pretty effective because there wasn't anything like that. Like it just kind of like it cuts to her and holds on her for a second, and then she just suddenly starts like she opens her eyes and they're completely black, and she just like starts like mumbling this like some kind of, I don't know, like incantation or something. It's really creepy. I don't know, what'd you think of that part?
I thought it was both creepy, but I also found it a little funny.
Okay.
I don't know why. Just I think because like the whispering sound they made just sounded kind of funny, and then I was both, like I said, like creeped out, but also like this is kind of a little bit funny too. Like it must have just been just me.
I guess so. I don't know. The first time I saw it, I was like, oh shit, I like wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, it definitely catches you off guard. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Like just the eye suddenly, and then like someone because you're acting kind of possessed, and nothing like that happens at that part, so you're not
Yeah,
like
I'm trying to
expecting it.
think.
But I
I
don't know.
guess we
I
should
found it a little comical too.
I guess maybe we should go into some of the earlier scares that happen, or some of the stuff they set up. Uh, they I'm trying to go in order, but I don't know if I can, because the movie I feel like jumps around from like location to location within the asylum a lot, so sometimes I get a little messy on the details of when stuff happens. But yeah, they set up a bunch of like security cameras in like the hallways and all the rooms and stuff. Um, and trying to think, they find like they basically there's this like setup about the asylum that like there's there was like a doctor uh, or the head of the asylum. Um, what she like killed her patients or something, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, those the spirits of those patients are supposedly, still roaming the asylum. Uh, that's like the myth, and then it turns out, of course, it's real. Uh, and yeah, they find like a doll at some point, and that one of the patients was holding in uh, in a photo, and you have to
Mhm.
assume that like they made that doll, like they obviously didn't like find it,
Mhm. Yeah.
because it's like set up uh, so neatly, which I think is funny. I think those kind of things are funny, that like how far they went to like set up certain things. Uh, like all that room with like all the strings going across the room with the bells and shit. It's like, how long did it take to set like that up? Like what the that's nuts. uh yeah, they like do a ritual, um which is like all fake, but it really like freaks out everyone. I'm just trying to remember some of the scares, because I think I watched this last night, but uh some of the things are I'm just like trying to remember.
There's also the one where they find all those coffins with the hole
Oh
right
yeah.
in the middle, and the girl puts her arm through, or and I think one of the guys put their arm through first, and it's like, oh, something grabbed my arm, and then one of the girls is like, okay, I'll do it, and then she takes it
Yeah.
out, and it's got those big scratches, and that's kind of like that seems to be the point where everybody kind of starts to realize now that okay, this isn't fake, this is real, and
Yeah.
I was thinking was that the point where one of the guys admits like okay all like the other stuff was fake but this stuff is real, so like we want to get out of here. Or that could
No,
have been a little bit later.
that's later.
But that's like that scene felt like, okay, now it's gonna be like nonstop from here. Like this felt like the point where things are like really getting real now, and we're not gonna slow down.
Yeah, I
At
like
least
that
for me.
scene too because it's like, oh, the guy clearly puts his arm in and like pretends that something grabbed him. And then once the once the lady like starts to do it, all the guys are like, no, 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 don't let her do it. It's too dangerous. Which I thought was funny, but then it's like, okay, they let her do it. And then you're kind of expecting like that's the moment where they're going to find out like, oh, it's all fake, you know? But then something actually does grab her arm, and it's just like I thought that was great because it's like, oh, all the guys are suddenly like, oh shit, like this is too far. Like stuff is real now. But it's also like, oh, the ghosts kind of like inadvertently kept up their facade, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that part was great. Yeah, she like, I guess it's she pulls her arm out, and like there's like huge scratches across her arm. I also liked there was one part where the captain was like looking back on the footage, and he's like looking, and there's like all six of them are
All
in
of
the
them are in the
frame.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
and then he's like, who's shooting this? That part actually made me go like, oh shit. That was like pretty creepy idea.
When it can mess with the electronics and like their surveillance and the cameras and stuff and do really cool things like that, I like that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I liked that part a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we should just get into most of the. I don't have too much else to say other than like talking about just a lot of the stuff in the third act.
Yeah,
because I think that's
when stuff really starts going.
Yeah, that's like I think the main draw of the movie. It really is. I feel like the last half hour of this movie feels pretty relentless in terms of the scares, and that's like the fun stuff. So yeah, like the first thing that happens, I think, is Charlotte and the girl who got her arm slashed in the coffin. They both decide to leave because they're like completely done at this point. Oh yeah, that was another thing. Charlotte, like her scarf gets lifted up.
Yeah, that happens at the same time with the arm being put in the coffin scene. But yeah, they're trying to get out here because was it Charlotte who freaks out when the guy picks up the doll and she's like, "Okay, no, don't touch anything. It's cursed. We're gonna have a curse on us now." And like I think after all that, she's just like, "I gotta get out of here. Like it's not fun and games anymore. Like we gotta get out of here." So they leave.
Yeah.
The two of them leave away from like everybody else.
Yeah, and at that point it's funny too because it's like, okay, well, the audience at that point clearly knows that like that doll is like planted and it's like completely fake. But yeah, Charlotte is completely freaking out, which is understandable by that point, I feel. Because they believe
I'd be wanting to get out of there too.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, Charlotte and the other character leave, and they basically like a Blair Witch happens, and like they're kind of like in a loop, going in the same place because they tie. They find someone's underwear. Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I don't know.
Someone's underwear was there.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, this is a weird place to leave underwear, and then like never talk about it again. It's just funny. It's like why did it have to be underwear?
Yeah, I thought it was funny. The one scaredy cat guy was like underwear as a landmark. That was funny. And then so they keep passing by the same landmark because they tied it to like a branch on a tree.
Like in a time loop kind of thing, or they're in some kind of space dimension where they like can't get away. A lot of
found footage movies I feel like do that, where it's like, oh, they're not really in reality anymore, they're in some kind of ghosts are manipulating something, or which I think is a fun trope. Although in this movie it plays with the time thing a little bit, and I think at first I was slightly confused, and I think I thought about it too hard. Just the part later on where the guy sees himself walking into the asylum. I don't think it's meant to be that confusing. I think I was just thinking about it too hard.
Mm.
But yeah, and then I think after this scare happens, Charlotte just like is suddenly in a room in the asylum, which I thought was pretty cool. And there's just this like naked dude just standing there, just completely motionless.
I like the whole setup to that too. Like, just to go back really quick, because like I like when found footage movies like tend to do this, is she like it kind of finds her way back to the tent, and then she gets in the tent and it's really dark and she can't see anything, and then it kind of like slowly a little bit of light comes and she can see it's like, oh, I'm not in the tent, I'm back in the asylum.
Yeah, that
And
was
she
creepy.
sees her friend kind of just standing by the wall, and then she
Oh
gets,
yeah,
and then she kind of like hears the noise, and it just like slowly pans to a naked man. He's doing some really creepy pose, and you see blood down the front of him. And that whole thing was really, really tense because she would kind of keep looking away to see, like, okay, is there a way out of here? She finds
yeah,
the
and she finds a
door,
door. Yeah,
and she like, we see her perspective. It's like seeing if she can get out. She's turning the doorknob, and it's locked, so she can't get out. And then it's like slowly turns to see, okay, well, I took my eyes off of the naked guy. Where is he now?
and then I liked how that paid off with her just like screaming, trying to open the door.
Yeah, because then we get to
'Cause-
see the other group
yeah,
go back, and it's like they were at that door when she was trying to open it and get out, and we can hear her screaming. I liked that a lot. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
because even at the very beginning of the movie, they show like some video footage of like these two like
Trying to open the
teenagers or
door.
whatever. Yeah, trying to like they've gone into the asylum and they're trying to get into this like infamous room 402 that like you can't get into. And the crew like bring like a concrete
Screwdriver.
like saw and stuff like that uh to like actually open the door. And yeah, they're at the door, and when that happens and they hear Charlotte on the other side, like that was a nice touch. I like that a lot. But yeah, when that naked dude just starts like crab walking sideways along with her as she like gets closer to the door, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's gonna happen, but
Oh yeah, of
I like
course.
how it didn't. The scene kind of like almost purposely drags on to
Yeah,
build the
yeah,
tension, and it's like you know it's coming. Like eventually, that thing's just gonna lunge after her. But like, I liked it doesn't just lunge after her as soon as we see it, because I think a lot of other ones do that, where it's like as soon as I see the monster, it's like, but this one
yeah,
just stays still, and then like it doesn't really move until she tries to get closer to the door, and it doesn't really get closer to her. It just kind of like goes to the side, like I'm still kind of right in front of you.
yeah.
So yeah, really, that scene was just really tense, and the fact that it went on for as long as it did just kept building and building. It's like you know it's coming, but it's like I can't take my eyes away.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and then they pull this face out again, just out of
Yeah,
nowhere. That made me jump. Uh, I think it's a little bit of a cheaper scare than the first time they do the face, but I think it was still pretty effective. Uh, like it got the reaction that it was trying to get out of me. So, and then earlier before this happens, the two guys who are like in on it with the captain go into one of the rooms and they're like investigating. And I don't know why I always like this type of scare when everything every like object in the room just like suddenly lifts up and then drops, and it just like that like crash is always like really intense.
hmm.
um yeah, I like that scare a lot. And then something basically like attacks them, I think. And one of them gets dragged away and the other is like knocked unconscious. uh and this is where I think uh that guy wakes up. The guy who gets knocked unconscious wakes up and finds uh, the two who are like trying to open room 402, and tells them like this is all like everything before, you know, like the ritual, everything that we did earlier was like all fake, but now it's like real. We have to leave. And I like the setup with the hall, like it's just so dark. Like they almost like don't want to leave. They're like in this one light, and almost like makes it feel safe. Uh, and then there was a setup earlier on that like the director of the asylum like played ping pong a lot, and then it's like, oh, if you hear the ping pong, like you better run. And then yeah, ping pong ball like fucking bounces into their way, and they just start freaking out. And then I think room 402 opens up, right?
Yeah.
And then I think
Or
they're just like,
is that the same room that they end up with the water that's on the ceiling? Is that still room 402
yeah,
as well?
yeah.
That was really
I think,
neat.
yeah, when they're outside it, like it opens up, but then they try to run away, and I think the light gets knocked over, and then it's
Yeah.
like pitch black, and
And
then
they're kind of in there, and there's no door, there's no exit,
yeah,
and there's water on the ground, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And then they look up to the ceiling. It's like there's water on the ceiling, and they could see somebody through it. And it's like,
yeah, which I
this
didn't
is so
see
crazy.
it.
I didn't see it
Did you?
either. No,
Yeah,
I
think they
couldn't tell
say
there's
it.
anyone in it.
Yeah,
But still, I thought that's a really cool idea, though. The water like on the ceiling and seeing
yeah,
someone through it, even though I couldn't see anybody.
yeah, and
But
they're
that's still a cool
kind of like,
idea.
yeah, and they're kind of like
Is that
scared, but kind of
yeah? At
amazed
that
at
point, it
it.
just feels like anything could happen. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, and then they find like that they open. I think they use their camcorder and the night vision and like see like this like girl in the corner, and like it keeps getting closer,
Yeah,
and then there's
I like
just like
the
a
effect with like
bunch
the
of people.
hands coming
Oh
like around
yeah,
the
that
face, but because like the
that
one
was
guy would
creepy.
notice, it would like go away. Like as soon as that one guy noticed, like their hands there, like getting
Yeah,
behind the face.
I thought that was really creepy.
That was
Just
really
like how
creepy
quick
too.
it like goes
Yeah,
around
because
their
it
face,
almost
and it's just
it
like
happens so fast. You're almost like, did I just see hands wrap around their face almost? And then
yeah,
like you're almost, it just happens so quick. You're almost like, did that happen?
yeah. Uh, and then I think the two who are trying to open the door get possessed, and then I think does the last guy get possessed? Like the hands go up over him, and
Yeah, I believe so.
I think that's like just kind of their fate at that point, right?
Yes. It's
Okay.
like that's pretty much everybody except I think
Kind of,
the boss guy, the leader at that point goes
yeah,
in, right, with the
I'm
drone.
trying to think. I think in that scene though, with them, with the three of them in the room, there was one scare that did make me like jump, where some lady like just like attacked the camera or something, right? I think that made me
So
jump because I didn't remember that happened the second time, like watching it again, and that made me jump. Uh, but yeah, so and then the boss guy, uh, he's watching the stream, and everyone's trying to leave before they reach 1 million views, and he's like, "Fine, I'll just do it myself,"
I'll do it myself.
which is maybe the stupidest thing anyone could do at this point.
Yeah, I would
But
not, you know.
I feel like if he tried to leave, he'd still be stuck there.
Oh yeah, it was no
Yeah.
good for him. But like wanting to like go there just for that, not like, oh, I need to help out my friends, or like, oh, I need to get out of here. It's like we're almost at that 1 million views. I'm getting that money. I'm
Yeah,
going in.
this was one thing I liked this character a lot, because I feel like in any other found footage or horror movie, you'd just be like so annoyed with this guy, and he is annoying, but I don't know, it just made it more interesting to me, like how he's just lying to everyone about like when the lady like puts her hand in the coffin and like it comes out with scratches, he's just like, oh yeah, she's faking it.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
Like,
it could have
like,
been.
how could you
I think
fake
even
that?
I think even says like, oh, it just there could have been thorns in there or something. It's like,
Oh
you
yeah,
see the
that's
door
what I was
open. There's nothing in there. It's not. There's no thorns or anything in there, dude.
Yeah, and then like, oh, how did Charlotte's scarf like fly up? It's like, well, there must have been wind or something. It's like,
It's like,
we're
oh
like,
yeah, we're underground. There's no
yeah.
wind. Yeah, well, you can just tell like he doesn't care. Like, no, you just stay there for the views. Stay there for so
Yeah,
we can hit 1 million and get our money. I don't care.
Yeah, it's almost comical. Like it's almost to the point where
Yeah, so it's like, well, it's easy for you to say, dude, you're not down here.
yeah.
It's like, why don't y'all say that? It's like, you come and do this. You're not the one down here being terrified.
Yeah. I liked when he really finally realizes like, oh shit, this is real. Like I think he's like looking at some of the like he's playing back some of the footage and sees like, oh yeah, that was clearly real. There was another part too where like Charlotte graffitis her name onto a wall and like right under it says like let's live together, I think.
Yeah.
And then like later
It
on they
becomes
look at it again, it says let's die
die
together.
together. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
I
it
thought
say
that was
that?
cool.
Yeah, because they're like, didn't it say this before? And then they goes and checks the footage. It's like, it's said let's die the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's even like looking right at it.
Yeah.
And it's putting it on the stream too, that like he's putting like the photos side by side, but then he's telling them like, oh no, like it still it never said let's live together, like to his own crew. It's like, oh yeah, she's nuts. I liked just how gaslighty he was. It just made everything more interesting because in like Grave Encounters the guy is clearly like a charlatan. Like he's like clearly like, oh yeah, let's got to make a good show. But once things go down, like starts to go down, like he's pretty, like I'm so sorry, like I never should have done this and all that stuff. And I kind of liked then this one. This guy is just like nah, gotta get the views, gotta get the 1 million.
Gotta get that 1 million, baby.
But yeah, he goes into the asylum. He's using the drone to like see into the building, and he sees like someone struggling or something. The second time watching it, it looked like someone was just like flailing their arms around though. I couldn't really tell what it looked like. So it looked kind of funny to me. But then yeah, he goes into room 402. His whole crew is missing at this point, and he should be like, oh, this is not a good idea. I should go and leave and call the police, but he doesn't. And he like enters this room and then looks out the window and sees himself entering the building. He's like, what the fuck? And then I like this shot a lot of the ghost just like floating into the frame right behind him, like backwards too. So you like don't see her face right away. It's like, oh shit.
Well, over for that guy.
Yeah. And okay, the ghost basically starts screaming, and I think it's a little comical, a little bit, just like how much it's screaming and he's freaking out. I don't know. They should have maybe cut away or something. Little silly, but it's okay. And then it like strangles him to death, and I kind of feel like that should have been the final image that it ended on. But then the last guy who he like wakes up in a wheelchair, like strapped into it, and then gets rolled into room 402, and then it closes. It could have ended there too, but then it does another thing where like they had this like plate of water or something out in the foyer or whatever, and it starts
I think it's
like
supposed to be holy water or something.
Oh yeah, that was it. It was holy water.
I think before that too, it also shows like they never were like really truly live streaming. Like it
yeah, that's the final.
They only had like 500 views.
Yeah. Was that the very last thing that happened, or was it?
I think no. I think the water boiling was the very last thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Before that, it cuts to.
Yeah, it just makes it
live stream
even worse so to know that they were never even like doing the stream and it only got to 500 views.
Yeah, that's like where it like peaked. It's 500. And it's just very. I have to say, like, the guy's death was very satisfying by that point. It was very like, yeah, that guy deserved it.
For the money, for the million views, baby, let's go.
Yeah, let's uh, be in hell forever. uh, yeah, that's basically the movie. I enjoyed it a lot. Even though it's definitely a bit slower for the first hour. I do like the characters, even though it is a little bit hard to distinguish character from them sometimes. It's like I still liked the performances and I liked the way they interacted off of each other. Uh, and I especially think like the performance from the captain I thought was very good, and Charlotte, I thought both of those two I thought were great. Uh, and yeah, it's man, it's really scary. Like I think it's pretty scary. Like I don't know how you watched it. Did you watch it just like all the lights out, uh, just
No,
like
I
in the
watched it.
dark?
I watched it this morning, so
Okay, I think it definitely helps to watch it during the dark. But
probably. But I was too tired last night, and I just got back from my friend's house, so I only had time to watch it this morning, really.
yeah,
But yeah, I was like, it's like I wish I could have watched this last night, but I probably would have. I had my Amazon tablet, but I couldn't download Shudder on it, so I was like, well, guess I'm
oh
not
no.
watching it tonight because I probably would have watched it in bed. But
Yeah,
yeah, I couldn't get Shudder on it, so I was like, I guess I'll just have to watch it in the morning. So
yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know what else is there to say about the movie.
you said most of the stuff. Like I enjoyed the movie too. Like I said, some pacing issues I have with it, but the third act, which is, I mean, that's what you wait for with these type of movies, and I
Yeah,
think it delivers really well. The tension's high, the scares are good, it keeps you on your toes, and I thought it was pretty satisfying overall. I could see myself watching this one again. It probably wouldn't be like
yeah,
the first found footage. I'd be like, this is the one I'll go to, but I could see myself watching it again.
yeah. Uh, yeah. I don't know. I guess we should rate it now.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
Um, I guess I'm picking all these, so I don't know who wants to go first on the rating.
I guess you can go first. If
Okay.
Is it possible? Do you remember what our ratings for Paranormal Activity were?
Yeah, we all three of us gave it a 4 out of
A
5.
4. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Um, this one's tough because I feel like in a way it's a 3-star movie,
Hmm.
but it does what it sets out to do very well. I feel like it is very effective and scary by the end of it, and I think like I think it's like a good like haunted house found footage movie. It's like you go in and you want these scares, like these jump scares. So I kind of feel like if jump scares aren't your thing, then this movie probably isn't going to be for you. Uh, but if you like want a good jump scare type movie that'll make you like shit your pants, like this one's pretty darn good to see.
Hmm.
Uh, and it does have like enough like good setup and payoff to it to keep it fun. Uh, yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5, but like a bit of a lower 3.5, I guess. Uh, yeah, I definitely think there's other found footage movies I find scarier than this overall. Like I still find the first Blair Witch more like more like I don't know, I guess psychologically scary. Like just the idea of it and like the performances really sell that realism. This movie is obviously not about realism and like creating this I don't know psychological feel. It's more again haunted house type of jump scare movie, but it's very good at that. So I think 3.5 is fair.
Sounds good to me. I did not enjoy this like as much as like Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch, so I don't think I could give it a 4. Um, I think I'd give it a 3 for kind of the same reasons. I don't know if I'd go 3.5. I think I'm gonna go with 3 because I think it takes a little bit too long in the middle to just kind of get to the stuff you're waiting for. Like, oh, we have to see some of the fake out stuff, and just kind of like, okay, like that's cool and all. Like, I kind of like the idea, but it's like I want it to just kind of get to the stuff I'm waiting for at that point, you know. Especially since the movie's not long. It's only about an hour and a half, and most of, like,
Yeah.
the third act is like the last half hour. So you're kind of like waiting an hour for things to really get going. It's like I could have had it come a little bit sooner. So, but the third act is a great payoff. And yeah, I think the performances are all good. I think the ideas are good, and I think for the most part they're pretty well executed. So I think a 3 is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly solid movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'd see it again.
yeah, I agree. It's not as good as like Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch. Those are like pretty top tier found footage movies to me.
Yeah.
I think this one would be really fun to watch with like people, with like a crowd or group,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah,
Because like everyone
I
would
could see
be,
that. Mhm.
I think, freaking out and
Mm.
having fun with it. And that would also probably help like alleviate some of the drag in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe watch it with like a group of friends or something. That I think that's the best way to do it. Or watch it like in the middle of the night, like all the lights off by yourself or something. Those are like the ideal ways to watch this movie, I feel. But yeah, I think it's a solid movie. I think we said everything we needed to about it. Uh, I have not seen the next week's movie because it's like just coming out tonight. I'm actually going to probably watch it tonight because I've been excited about this movie for a while. Yeah, Deadstream. It's also on. All these are going to be on Shudder, unless I don't think they're going to be taken off before Halloween. I don't think Shudder is going to take off any horror movies before Halloween. So we should be good. Yeah, I'm excited for Deadstream. That's our next pick. So yeah, join us then. I think that's it for tonight.
Peace.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Will? Is that it? All right. Bye.